Hello and welcome to the section on HTML and CSS projects. So let's do a couple of projects to understand how the HTML and CSS work together. Okay, so I'm going to create the folder HTML and CSS projects. The first project we'll create is the website layout. Okay, we'll understand how to create a layouts, how to create header, footer, sidebars and content, and how to align them. So for this we have two files. We have before and after file. So if you go to the material folder, you will find before and after files. Let me copy that here. So I've copied the two files. You will find before and after. So let's open before file. Okay, so in this project we'll create simple layout. We have header, navigation, section and footer. So we'll align them, header as an header, navigation as a navigation, and section as a section, and footer as a header. So how the final output will look like? It will look like something like this. Okay, we're going to have an header. We're going to put the navigation on the navigation side, on the left side. Then we have section, then we have footer. All right, so this is the project that we're going to do. We're going to create a simple layout from something like this to like this. Okay, so that's the exercise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this into completed folder. So you'll have a reference. And we'll create the same file. I'll take the file name here. Okay, then we'll open this in the bracket. So for this we have to change our folder. So let's change to HTML and CSS projects, website layout. Select the folder. So we're going to start from a simple HTML layout which has nothing inside it. It has this div class container. We haven't defined anything here in the CSS. We have h1, header, navigation, section and footer. Anyway, if you look at the output, let's open up the output. It's just displaying the text there. Okay, the layout is not available. So we'll use CSS to create the layout. Okay, we'll draw the header. We'll move navigation to the left side, section to the center and footer to the bottom. Okay, so let's look at what CSS is available. The first is the body. So body has a background color, so that's why you see that color there. Then the text color is white, align center, then margins are 0, and then we have selected our font. There's one interesting settings in CSS is called as box sizing. 3 different settings are set for 3 different browsers. Okay, so let's understand what is this box sizing border box means. Okay, so let's create a simple example to understand that concept. I'll say border box.html. Let's open this file. What we're gonna do, we're gonna copy this, we're gonna paste it here, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna create 2 divs. We're gonna say with border, right, with border box. I'm going to say without border box. So we're going to create these 2 boxes. Right, and obviously we're going to have this setting, box sizing border box. Here we don't have that box sizing border. Okay, so let's draw a box. So for border box, I'm going to draw a box of width and some height. Let's make it white. Okay, and similarly we're going to have the border box for this. All right, so one box doesn't have box sizing border, but if you look at the boxes, they look exactly the same. There's no difference in it, right? Write some with border box and without border box. Okay, you don't find any differences here. But when you add padding, let's say we add padding to it, right? Padding of 10 px. All right, so we disable the default styling now. Okay, now you can see just by adding the padding, the box is taking additional size, right? But we have already mentioned what is the width and the height. We don't want to go across this width and the height, but you see the padding is included, means it is width plus height plus padding. We don't want that setting. What we want is, we want to have same width and the height. Even we add padding or margins, we want the height and the width to be same. Okay, that's when this box sizing will come in picture. So if you see the padding adding to this one which has box sizing, right, you see the padding has been added, but the height and the width never changes. Okay, that's what this box sizing border box will do. This will not allow the box to grow within the height with the padding added. Okay, it will try to shrink it, it will try to absorb that padding and then make sure the height and the width are the same. Okay, that's why most of the developers will follow this. They will try to add box sizing as the default settings like this, because they want to rely on width and the height, right? They don't want to go against the padding, and then it's hard to control when padding takes in control, right? When padding actually grows your boxes, then all your width and height of your page sizes will grow. Okay, well, we don't want the padding to take control of the width and the height, and to disable that feature and want that height and the width to be exactly same as we mentioned, then we add the box sizing border box. Okay, and these are for different browsers as well. All right, so that's the example of border boxing. I hope you understand why I'm using this. That's basically of this example. All right, so let's look at our example now. So if you look at here, you know why I'm doing box sizing border box. So let's create our layout now. So I'll close this and then we'll open the preview for after, and then we'll see how it's basically behaving when you're trying to add the CSS. All right, and we're going to start doing it from here. So we'll apply the first rule for header, navigation, section and footer. I'm going to apply one rule for all of this. We'll add some border to it. Okay, okay, now you see the border has been added for each of them, right? We'll have a margin of bottom so that they have spaces for each other, right? They have some spaces for each other, and then we'll add some border radius to have a nice curving onto the sides. Okay, you see that curving coming up? That's the border radius. Okay, then next we'll have for header and footer, we want a padding of 20 px. Okay, that's the space, right? It's the padding is inside the box. And for navigation and section, because it's bigger, right, it's bigger than header and footer, we want more padding, right? We want to add more padding to it. For nav and section, maybe you want to add 200. Okay, so if you look at it, right, it's all grown big. You have just adding the padding inside it. Okay, so let's define our container now. Typically when you define container, you are mentioning two important concepts. One is the width and one is you're aligning it to center if you want to. The width is width, that is 960 px. Okay, that's the width of your page. Then you can say margin 0 auto, which brings the text to in the center, right? You will see everything is aligned in the center. Okay, then you can start floating these things onto left and right. Nav, section and footer, we will float it to left, right? They already onto the left, and then we can deal with each of it, right? When navigation, now you can add the spaces and everything. You can see what is the width of navigation. Let's say it's 200 px, so it will push all the other boxes around. and you can add the margin to the right side, to on here on the right hand side, and then you can say it's 10 px. So now your navigation is set, right? Then you try to move section, the footer will come down automatically. Then you are play around with section now, right? Just have to say width, say 750px. This will push the footer down, right? Because there's no space. And then we say the width, the complete container width is 960px, so it's aligning within that width. Okay, now the footer is come down, so section is done. Let's just say footer width is again 960px. okay, and I think your page is done, right? Very simple to play around. So understand what I'm trying to do. This is all about understanding how you have working with the boxes. Okay, you create a box, you create a borders, okay, then you are adding margin and padding. This whole thing is done with margins and padding, okay, and then you are floating it to the left or right, okay, and then you are set a boundary for all the elements so that they don't cross the boundary, and the boundary is the container. Okay, within the container all the boxes are arranged. The boxes are arranged with left, and then they push it down, because when they don't have the space they come down, and when they come down you just align it to the width, okay, and then there's no space for other elements to fit in. Okay, so that's the simple exercise. Do the exercise to understand how to work around with, having a layout in CSS. It's very simple to understand. You have a header, navigation section and footer, and then you have the spaces are margins, and inside the box are paddings. All right, and then you're floating the components to left, and then you have the complete page in a container. Well, that's a simple project on layout, and I'll see you in the next one.